Today we're looking at the beginning of slavery in America. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. So today we're looking at the beginning of slavery in America, and this is a topic that is very sensitive and a topic that should not be taken lightly, as this is one of the worst human rights violations in human history. But it's important to note as we look at this, what many consider to be the starting point of slavery in America is, something that is not unique to the United States. Unfortunately, slavery has been part of just about every major civilization, every major nation's history, from the ancient Egyptians to the Romans to the British, and up until today with human trafficking issues. The subjugation and labeling of some races as being inferior or not equal is a terrible fact of our history as humankind, and something that we need to recognize and understand so that we can eradicate it and get rid of it forever. Slavery is going to be an extremely important theme that runs throughout American history, and I'll be coming back and covering different aspects of it as I move through history. The origins of enslavement of Africans in America is traced to 1619 at Jamestown. Now, this does not mean that these were the first Africans or enslaved people on the North American continent. In fact, there's records of Africans traveling with Christopher Columbus to the New World, and slavery was already being practiced throughout the Caribbean, Central America, and South America before Jamestown was even established in 1607. In fact, European involvement in the trade of enslaved Africans dates back to the 1400s. But as far as the English colonization of North America, the first enslaved Africans arrived near Jamestown, Virginia in late August of 1619. About 20 enslaved Africans landed at Jamestown aboard the English ship the White Lion. It is believed that these people had come from present-day Angola and were actually part of a group of enslaved people who had been forced aboard the San Juan Batista, one of several Portuguese slave ships that carried human cargo across the Atlantic to North and South America. This trip from Africa to the Americas came to be known as the Middle Passage, as it was the middle leg of what became known as the triangular trade system, in which raw materials such as sugar, tobacco, and cotton would be loaded on ships and sent to Europe and from America, and then processed and refined in Europe into textiles or cloth and rum and other manufactured goods that would then be shipped to Western Africa and traded for enslaved people that would be forced aboard crowded slave ships and brought to North and South America. And I'll be making another Bellringer fully devoted to the horrors and atrocities of the Middle Passage as I move through colonial history. On the San Juan Batista, enslaved Africans were forced to march hundreds of miles from the interior of Africa and then placed on the ship carrying 350 enslaved people. On the journey, it's estimated that over 150 captives died. When the San Juan Batista approached present-day Mexico, they were attacked by the English pirate ship, the White Lion. The surviving enslaved people were taken captive by the White Lion and then brought to Jamestown. John Rolfe, who was the Englishman that brought tobacco to Jamestown and, of course, would marry Pocahontas, was actually the secretary of Jamestown and wrote about the arrival of the White Lion. The captives were sold to wealthy planters there in Jamestown. Despite Jamestown not actually having clear laws concerning slavery, unfortunately, it was just simply accepted that slavery would be allowed, and with tobacco becoming the primary crop that was very labor-intensive, slavery became very important to the early colonial economy. More enslaved people would shortly arrive to Jamestown, as by March of 1620, a record indicated 32 Africans living in Jamestown. Now, some records indicate that some Africans were treated as indentured servants, or someone that would work on a contract, usually for about 7 years, before being allowed to be free. However, by the early 1660s, laws were changed in Jamestown to make slavery a lifelong burden, thus beginning the system of what today is known as chattel slavery, in which enslaved people were considered property and not a person, and the children of enslaved people were also considered to be the property of the slave owner. Over the next 200 years, hundreds of thousands of Africans were forced to endure the Middle Passage and brought to America to endure a life of forced servitude. The United States would become economically dependent upon enslaved people's labor, especially in the South, on large sprawling plantations, as agriculture became the dominant Southern economic activity. And by the beginning of the American Civil War in 1861, there would be over 4 million enslaved people in America. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.